Okay, students, so this is the second part of the video for this assignment, amino acid sequences and evolutionary relationships. So in the first part of the video, we kind of figured out what amino acids were, and we compared the amino acids for these animals here: human, chimpanzee, gorilla, rhesus monkey, horse, and kangaroo. And so we took care of numbers 2, 3, and then also here, number 4 of the directions. So if you have not completed all those steps yet, and if you do not have this data table where it continues on the next page done, go ahead and get that done now. All right. Now, number 5 says, use figure 1 to complete data table 2 on page 176. So let's go find this thing, data table 2, page 176. So at the bottom, here's page 174. Here's 175. All right, here's data table 2. Okay, so what we figured out from what I did is when we looked, there were 0 differences between a human and a chimpanzee. Every amino acid was the same. So I can put on here 0, and there's no place where they were different. Okay, between a human and a gorilla, we found just 1. Okay, and if I go back up here, it was in place 104. Okay, so you see that? 104 was a place where we found something different. So down here, I would write 104, and that's it. Now, if we had more differences, like I know the human and the kangaroo will have more, you may have a list of places where they're different, and that's fine. Okay, so please pause the video at this time and finish filling in data table number 2. Okay, so now we have done all of part A. We have done steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now part B is a little different. Instead of us looking up the differences, they're giving us the numbers here. Okay, so it's telling us this is a different protein than the hemoglobin you looked at before. This protein here is called cytochrome C. Okay, and out of 104 amino acids, this is how many that are different between a human and these other animals. Okay, so we are now going to go make a bar graph on page 177 to kind of compare these guys. So human and chimpanzee was a 0 difference again. So if I go to the bar graph here, okay, human to human, well, that's going to be a 0, right? And human to chimpanzee was a 0. What about human and fruit fly? So I got to scroll back up to my data here. Human and fruit fly had 29 differences. So I'm going to come down here and let's see, 29 would be halfway between 28 and 30. So I'd go up to about there, and it's a bar graph, so I'd color all these in. So your bar graph is going to go sideways, which is fine. It might just look a little different than what you're used to. Next one, human and a horse. So if I scroll back up there, human and horse had 12, and also human and pigeon also had 12. Okay, so I can use 12. And you can change colors if you want to. That's cool. But human horse and human pigeon both had 12. So I can color those up to number 12. So you go ahead and finish the graph. We'll pause the video for a moment and finish that graph out. So go ahead and pause and do that now. All right, so we're going to assume our graph is done here. We're going to go back up to our directions. So we should have finished making our graph here. So we looked at everything and we made the graph. And then we have one last figure here. This is comparing a fruit fly to these different types of animals. So you're going to do the same thing and make a bar graph of these guys here. Okay, and that is on graph number 2. So you can see right down here exactly the same type of thing for graph number 2. All right, so that takes care of all the directions that we've gone through. Okay, so we looked at all this data, we compared the amino acids, we did some graphing. Now you're ready for some questions. Okay, now the questions tell you very specifically, part A, you're going to use figure 1 to do these guys. Then 3 and 4 is going to use part B. Okay, and then after that, you have a couple other questions where you're just kind of using everything you've learned to fill these out. Okay, and then going further has been crossed off. Okay, so hopefully this gives you a little help in getting this worksheet started. You may have some individual questions here and there, and that's perfectly fine. But I think you're going to be able to get the graphs done and to count the differences before you bring those questions back to class on Wednesday or Thursday. Okay, so get through as much as you can. Feel free to work in groups and work together and discuss this. When you're finished, please hand this in. This is a quiz grade, so kind of taking all the evolution stuff we've learned so far and connecting it with the DNA stuff that we've learned this quarter and putting everything together. So it's a great kind of wrap-up sheet in place of a final exam for biology. So kind of consider this as your biology final, taking all these ideas from the whole quarter and coming together. Please ask if you have any questions, guys, and have a great day.